Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeffery. I am the host of Learning with Jasmine. I have a daughter who has autism, and this is a safe place, you guys, that we can come together in the community with individuals at similar situations. We can be a support group for those who do not know autism. They would know about autism. It's about collaborating with one another. And so today, this is number 3 of this month of video. For those who don't know, I contact professionals or expertise in the subject. And so this month and next month, we're going to be talking about community support. Community support, what does that look like? And so we have all walks of life. And so this is number 3 of this month. A really good friend of mine, one of my besties, I asked her to do this. So she's going to introduce herself, and then we're going to get started with the questions.
Good morning. It's great to be here. My name is Tia Jeffery, Dr. Tia Jeffery. I am assistant professor at the University of the District of Columbia in the Nutrition and Dietetics program in the Department of Health, Nursing, and Nutrition. And I also do some clinical work for Holy Cross Health and their Germantown Holy Cross and dialysis facilities on the side, amongst other things. And I have a master's and bachelor's in nutrition and exercise science concentration and my PhD in public health.
Great. Can you hear me good, really?
I can.
This? Okay, great. All right, so we're going to get started with the questions. Number 1, what is the healthy weight range? You know, we talk about that. That's with children, that's with adults. What is the healthy weight range?
That depends on a whole lot of factors. But what I will say is healthy weight range for children is regardless of what their height and weight is, the Centers for Disease Control has percentile charts. So if your child falls within from 5th to the 85th percentile, that is considered a healthy weight. That could be in the form of weight for age or BMI percentile. There's different variations. There's certain charts that accommodate children with special needs. So there's a few specialized charts out there too, like children with Down syndrome or cerebral palsy. They have some modified guidelines for weight range. So, it's good to look at trends with weight as well, because, a child could be at what's otherwise considered at a healthy weight, like just say your child's in the 25th percentile. But if you've been noticing a downward trend over a course of several months, that could mean something's going on. Maybe they've upped their activity level without meeting their nutritional needs or something, because where you are in a percentile chart is one of the major ways that you can detect whether or not there are any nutritional issues going on. So if they're over 5th and below 85th, that's a healthy range. And with adults, we go by the established system body mass index. There are, I could go on and on about some racial ethnic differences and some misrepresentation of people of color in terms of what's considered a normal weight. But based on the body mass index, it's between, on the lower end, 18.5, and then on the higher end of normal is 24.9. Now, that's like a calculation, but anyone can now go online and Google a BMI calculator and put your height and weight in that BMI calculator, and it will estimate your BMI for you. And you'll be able to see if you fall within that normal range. So you want to find out how they've established what's considered normal for BMI.
Yes.
So it's based on these extensive studies, longitudinal studies on morbidity and mortality rates. And So so they use that system and look at where the highest mortality rates, which at what BMI, where there are more like health complications and medical complications. And so on average, that was with the that 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 endpoint of lower risk was 25 or below. So that's how. But it would also be nice if, as we evolve with this, we look at specific racial ethnic differences too, because for example, Asian Indians actually have a lower cutoff for what's considered obesity for BMI. Like for us, it's 30 or over, and their cutoff based on the risk is actually like somewhere between 28 and 29. So if we had that system with, like, for example, African Americans and other racial ethnic group, that would be ideal, because then we would see, look, as a subpopulation, like, where do we fall in reference to normal? And since BMI is based on height and weight, there's other ways to see if you're at normal weight, because BMI can sometimes be um, inappropriate for certain populations. Like imagine some of those pro athletes that are carrying a lot of muscle tissue that weighs more than fat tissue. They may not technically be fat, but their BMI might be high just because of that muscle tissue. So the BMI is not really valid for that certain populations, including that one. And of course, pregnant women, it's not out the window.
Right.
And a better indicator of health and disease, especially chronic diseases, is even more so than the BMI, is waist circumference. So to measure the diameter of your waist, I believe for females, that's if you are 35 inches or less, you're like lower risk. For male, if the male is 40, the waist is 40 inches or less, that's considered lower risk than those who are above that, because that's where all our vital organs are. And that's where, you see if it's high, then you're most likely to have some accumulation of fat around your vital organs, like your heart, our liver, kidneys, all those vital organs where most chronic diseases manifest. And so that's the most dangerous obesity. There's different levels of obesity, but the type of obesity where fat is just more distributed from the hip down is actually not as high risk as the fat that's distributed if there's a lot around the abdominal circumference.
Okay, you guys. So I'm going to ask you, Professor Jeffery. I haven't I'm going to ask you at the end of the video to kind of, throughout whenever you can this day or next, tomorrow, if you can put down the link to any of those information on the comments below of the video, that would be, appreciated. All right. Okay. And any questions, you guys, that you have for her, that she can see it and answer the questions. Okay. All right. So the next question is, how much should we be eating, children to adults?
And that depends on, so I can name 8 different things that depends on.
Okay.
And how much should we eat? Let's say, is it one size fits all approach? Definitely not. Can you imagine somebody who's 6 feet tall versus someone who's 5 feet?
Hey, I'm 5 feet.
Yeah, I'm 5'4". I get it.
Okay.
But yeah, so the differences and how much we need, just to think about a lot of, there's a tendency to think about the calorie as some kind of demon, like, oh, I gotta cut down on this and cut down on that. No, it's like a supply of energy, just like gas is to a car. So we need that. We actually help our metabolism when we eat. It's just that finding that fine line as far as what you said, how much we should
Mm-hmm.
be. So it depends on uh, gender, age, height, weight, physical activity level, the climate, or geographic location, health and disease status, and our genes.
Hmm.
Because
Okay.
some people do have genes where they may be more predisposed to being heavier. Um, and so you couple that with an environment of, foods that are not at the, most recommended to eat often or overeating, then there's going to be a higher risk of becoming overweight or obese. But, okay, so gender, males, because, they carry more lean muscle than women naturally. Um, they actually require more calories than the average woman. Um, and based on height, um, you know, sorry, for those of us who are vertically challenged, but we don't require us. We don't have our body surface area
Mm-hmm.
to support the amount of energy that people who are tall require. So taller people require more um, activity level. Hey, if you can drive, we can drive up our calorie budget by becoming more active. Um, so if you're, sedentary, of course, that means you're less. You need less because we're not using as much of that energy as if we're active all the time. Um, and it could be moderately active, like going on a 30 to 60-minute brisk walk every day. That counts as being active on some level. Gardening. There's been more gardening lately, I've noticed.
Okay. Commercial break. Commercial break. I have been exercising up the steps um, from the first floor all the way to level 20 in the building that I'm in right now. This has been today will be the third day. Sometimes trying to do morning and afternoon. And I've noticed in the past 2 days that even, going up the steps, it's really intense,
Mhm.
Definitely I'm hungry afterwards, but, but, even just that exercise for the past 2 days and within maybe 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes at the most going down back down, I've noticed that even my because I got a little pouch, you guys, I got a little pouch, and the pouch has actually um, decreased. Just the movement. So just even if you are not as active, I'm not as active. I've never been that as active, but just exercising itself, just moving, you can get, and that's just a commercial break because we're not talking about exercising, but it helps it helps with what you're saying that because my doctor said that I've been exercising like my legs and everything like that, and they said that I was over my what is it your
BMI.
BMI, yeah. And I'm like, no, actually, I think it's muscles, type of thing. Because I don't look like I've actually, gained a lot, but it's based upon BMI. So that's definitely, I have to control that. And she said, I have to do that. I have to be
Mhm.
mindful of that. But I'm not really eating. Sometimes I pig out. Just have to be honest. I love carbs. I love pasta. I love rice. So like this is a little commercial break. How can we, those who love pasta and rice, to eat every day,
Mm.
you know, what do you recommend?
Well, if you try, okay, so if you notice a lot of pop culture trends out there, it says to reduce your carbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that, in hindsight, what people are saying as low carb this or low carb that, it may just be representing what one true serving is. Like if I show you this here, I don't know if you can see it, but okay, so you see this hand, do you see these like hand
Mm-hmm.
models?
Yes.
Okay, so look at this cell phone representing one serving of bread. Okay, and so if a person ate like two sandwiches or a sandwich and a half, they're already at 3 and 4 servings with just one food item already.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's I think that's rice or something with a
Mm-hmm.
light bulb and that serving. So we're serving of the pasta there.
Ew,
Uh,
that's too small.
that's so small, I know. And you know,
Alfredo.
type of carbohydrates,
Mm,
yeah, carbohydrates matter too. Like if we focus mostly fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans, that's not going to have the same effect as like eating a large piece of cake all the time.
right.
So it depends on the quality of our diet overall. And getting back to your point, okay, so let's say the average woman, um, or should I start with the child?
Child. Yeah, child. Let's do the child.
The average child, the average growing child, probably needs anywhere between 14 to 1600 calories a day, give or take those 8 factors with their gender, physical activity level, health, disease status, genes, climate they're in, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And the average adult female needs around between 1800 2000 calories a day. Average adult male, yeah, most a little over that don't realize it. It is some go under, but and then the average adult male needs around um, 24 to 26 or 2700 calories a day, give or take
Mm.
those other factors. So
But
as
that's
you can
not,
see,
you guys, that's not just like, one thing. Some people do that one, like if they love pasta, it's not like grains. It's
it's
it's the whole
mm-hmm.
uh plate. Myplate.org. I think it's .org
Yeah.
is a really good
Mm-hmm.
resource, you guys.
.gov. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. .gov, right?
Yeah.
.gov, yeah. So it's a really good resource. I can put it down on the comment below. Uh, but that's a really good resource. Now, do I always do it? No, but it's always good to be mindful. But my family, we do. We're vegetarians, so kind of we do a little bit of this and a little of that. Not the meat, but the vegetables, the beans, the pot,
Yeah.
the fruit. I pig out on the stuff that I may not want to.
That's
I
it.
mean, we do a little pasta or rice, but when I go out in a restaurant, yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I am very mindful of the fact that as a registered dietitian that food is there's so many ties to food that
Mm-hmm.
could be very, very delicate. It's like a person trying to get a person to go see a psychologist. Like if they don't feel like seeing a psychologist to talk about their emotions and all that. It's about, but so I will say that, you know, it's good. We don't beat ourselves up. I mean, to like release that feeling ashamed, if you have a bad day or something like that, because a healthy diet is not a perfect diet. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like what we do overall. And unless you're training for like a specific event, like
Mm-hmm.
triathlon or marathon or some kind of like sporting competition,
Mm-hmm.
it can be it's obsessive calorie counting can
Mm-hmm.
lead to some really compulsive uh, behaviors and disordered eating patterns or feelings of defeat and feelings of failure. Um, so we can use what we need and the food labels and stuff as tools. But we just, if we all go back to really just learning how to eat. I mean, learning how, like,
How
even
to eat.
take food
Wow.
out of it. And
Mm.
just like, do we sit down at the table? Do we actually take the time to taste and savor what we're eating? Or are we always
Okay.
rush?
I don't. I don't. I love. I have to be honest. Y'all know me. Learning with Jasmine. I will be always be transparent with you, and I talk about many other people like, are you chewing? But I don't chew. There's a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a difference, and savoring your food. Just
Mm-hmm.
I've heard like how many times you have to chew before the next bite. I'm like, oh my
I never like
goodness.
what until it's like a ball of puree baby food. That's how it has to be before I swallow. And
That's what I've
yeah, like
heard.
yeah,
But
pretty much.
it's
And like how many of us really do that all the
now I
time?
do now I don't do drinking drinking while I'm eating.
Okay. Yeah, that does help.
That helps,
Mhm,
because you'd be like, oh, I'm full, but you're really not full. You're just full with the liquid, not the food.
mhm. Very true. Very
Okay. So I've done. Okay. So we're gonna move on because we can talk about that
true.
in a.
On and on. And I was, I gave a pitch, advertising pitch,
Okay. Go ahead.
because everybody's needs, if personalized. Hey, feel free, whether it's a child or pediatric dietitian or adult
Mhm.
dietitian. Hey, don't take the chance to go see one, and that can really personalize what you need.
Yes, I know from in Maryland there's so many places putting programs that
Mhm.
have for infants and
Yeah.
toddlers. They have that. You can just Google, you guys, where you're from, and then you know child dietitian, or you can ask your pediatrician, your child's pediatrician for referrals, you guys. So there's so many opportunities. Again, we don't if we haven't talked about it, some people just don't have never thought about it. Not saying that you don't know, you're never, but when you have a conversation like this and be like, oh, okay, sparking interest or whatever. So this is what it's all about, you know? And so I never thought about, I know you personally, but I never thought about a child dietitian. I never thought about that.
Yeah, even like in our area, the Children's National Medical Center in DC, they've
Mhm,
got, I mean, between inpatient and outpatient, and then the one in West Coast California as well, they got as many as, well, between 15 and 18, 15 to 20 dietitians on staff. And then some are outpatient services and some were for the inpatient hospital,
mhm.
for, based on, the different medical issues of the child, the different degrees of specialty and all that. But yeah, they're definitely accessible.
Yeah. So Google is your best friend, you guys. Google is your best friend. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question. The question is, what is your recommendation for children who have autism or any other diagnosis who may have sensory issues with foods?
And the thing about autism is that, as you know, obviously, it's such a broad spectrum disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and one thing to rule out first is, which can be very common with children with autism, is to find out if they actually have any medical issues that's affecting their nutritional status. Like, they more likely to have certain allergies, um, or they're more likely to have some gas, some intestinal digestive
That's
issues.
Jasmine.
Yeah, and that can make all the difference in the world. Like having, not even being your own advocate and having advocates to really get to the bottom of like what's really going on with them. Why are they having a hard time digesting their food or having reflux? And when they start to really treat that and find foods that can accommodate them, find out if there's um, any allergic reactions to certain food components, then that can be half the battle first. And then sometimes it can take trial and error. You know,
Mm,
maybe experimenting with one thing at a time, um, and then really kind of observing their reaction, their behavior
mhm,
when they're eating certain things. Because there's some children with autism who maybe dairy might be an issue, or gluten may be an issue, depending on their spectrum of their disorder. And and if they're having problems with that component, they're missing something in that digestive system that really processes those things, then that can make all the difference as far as how they feel. And because they have really not learned or are learning how to communicate, their frustration can override their ability to
mhm,
really communicate what's wrong. Yeah, I can make just do things like kick and scream and like push the plate to the side and all that stuff, instead of having the ability to communicate.
mm,
I'm not. This is not agreeing with me, or what you said with the sensory issues. Consistency. Let's just say they don't have problems with medical problems with certain
mhm,
with the sensory issues. They we would just think about how we feel if we're feeling very anxious or fearful or extremely nervous. It's kind of hard to digest and process food or feel hungry
mhm,
without the stomach turning and all that. So that's what they're feeling when they're seeing something that they don't recognize, or are not, or some food item they're not comfortable with yet. So patience is the key. Consistency is the key. Like, don't be afraid to introduce it more than once. The you know the children usually, um, even better than adults, know when to stop when they're full,
mhm,
or when
mhm.
to tell you when they're hungry. They
Right.
actually have that natural innate ability. Somewhere along the line, kind of lose it through life.
We just see the food and we're like, okay.
Yeah, or peer influences and all that stuff.
Right.
Children are born with it.
Mm,
So instead of forcing them, you know, just take it's hard. And I understand it's hard. I mean, not being a parent yet myself, but to just step back and just let them be, let them wait for them to say they're hungry if they're refusing that
I
certain.
started doing that. And I've noticed that Jasmine has actually eaten less of the throughout the day. I don't do snacks, you guys, but um, I might do a snack like right before bed if she's, hungry type of thing. But we don't do like, let's continue eating snacks. Ooh, that might step on somebody's toes right there. But you're actually stopping the process of the um, when you're eating and then you there it's processing the stomach is the digestive system is processing, and then 2 minutes 2 hours later you give them another snack. Well, it has to start all over again. And so, or any you know eating you basically eating between meals is actually not helping the digestive system. And so my mama always told me that you wake up in the morning, you get the healthy
Oh yeah.
breakfast, you get the
Mhm.
keen of the day, and then later on you get the little child at the end of the day. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm the opposite.
I know most of us do the opposite, but I
Most
guess
of us do the opposite. We
we're
do
men.
not eat breakfast. I haven't eaten breakfast, and it's 9:24. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. You know, I probably will not eat until like 11, you guys, 11:30, 12 o'clock, maybe 12:30, at the
Mhm.
most. It's just like my body is now, all right, let me just get something to drink, like water, keep it going. But it's not healthy.
Mm. Yeah,
It's not.
snack the I would say the purpose of snacking is really to help stave off extreme hunger if you know you're going to go more than 4 to 6 hours without any food. To even a small snack, if it's that time range, will help us not to overeat by dinner time. Let's say the last time we ate was at 11 o'clock a.m.
Mm-hmm,
and the next, like, or 12, lunch. Let's say 8
mm-hmm,
lunch, 12,
mm-hmm.
and you're not eating dinner again until 8.
Okay,
Then,
see that right there. That's something that I I've noticed that, like, the majority of, and they say the majority of, Americans, US Americans, people who live in America, whatever walks of life it is, but you live in America, most eat around that time. Like for Thanksgiving, Christmas, I would call some of my friends of like, oh, what time do you have your meal? And like, oh, we haven't eaten. I'm like, we're on dessert, you know? We eat around 2 o'clock for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I mean, but
yeah.
it's I guess is the thing about it. It's like some people don't get home until like 7,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. But what is it doing in our body
Hmm.
when we're eating and then go to sleep?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. And you know what? If we're eating late
Mm-hmm.
and we eat, if we go to sleep right after we eat,
Mm-hmm.
it's really harder to get a really good quality sleep
Right,
because our body's going to focus on trying to process what we just ate as
right. I
opposed to
get weird
get back
dreams.
to REM, or what
Mm-hmm.
people get bad. Some people it's bad dreams, and others it could be a million different things. So if you do, regardless of what time we eat in the evening, I mean, if we can wait at least a couple hours before going to bed, uh, that actually help. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and then yeah, if you go from 12 lunch until evening, and then you don't eat again until 8 hours later, it's good to have a little something at that midpoint. So you
But
don't,
not chips, not
not
cookies,
shit.
not
No,
ice
yeah,
cream.
something, um, something with something good, high quality.
An apple,
Apple
you
with,
know.
some people might say apple with peanut butter. For me,
Right.
apple with peanut butter helps fill me up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that can make all the difference in the world as far as like in terms of pigging out at 8 o'clock if we didn't do that, and not pigging out at 8 o'clock.
Right,
It,
right.
so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, you guys. So we're going to do our last question. What can parents do to help support healthy eating at home?
Oh, and several different things. First, parents really got to be models of that healthy behavior. Parents really ain't want to hear that.
Really? Really?
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, maybe not unfortunately, but it helps everybody in the long run.
Oh
Um,
my goodness, just stepped on my toe.
so did I step on a lot of people's toes? Somebody's gonna step on my toes tomorrow. So I mean, like, they are at an age where they observe a lot. They observe more than we realize. I mean, how else do you find out where'd you get that word from? I don't. That's a little advanced. And they heard somebody. They heard an adult. They heard a family member say it, or
No,
parents.
well, that's not.
So when we think about that with food, you know, same thing. The patterns that parents and caregivers have, and the way they eat, the times we eat, what we eat, what we keep in the house.
Mm.
That's all make it.
Let me, I had to tell you a little commercial break story, you guys. One day I was eating my chocolate. I literally was in a room. I didn't lock the door, but I'm literally in my room eating my chocolate bar. This girl comes and barging in. And I mean, like, I had to like hide the chocolate, right? And I'm, hmm. And she says, Mommy, And she's like, I smell chocolate. Of course, I had to get her some, whatever. But it just, yeah.
Oh
And it
yeah,
was in the middle of the day.
middle of the day of all time. Like, oh, doggone it, trying to enjoy my little moment.
Exactly, exactly. But go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
We just had to. But yes, I mean it's a and then foods, as we know, we associate it with rewards and all that. It's like, you do this, I'll get you this piece of candy, or if you do this for me, a little cupcake. So nothing wrong with treats from time to time, but
Mm-hmm.
let's just start thinking of other things we can do for rewards. I was surprised by my nephew and other nieces, and including Jasmine, and how it's the smallest things they consider rewards. So food
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to be the only reward. Like,
Okay.
they love stickers.
Yes.
I mean, did you tell them I have a sticker for you? Can you put
And we're like, it's a sticker, you guys. It's a sticker.
or you get to help me when I go, whatever errand you go, you get to help me pick this or that. Oh, they love that. Or I go
Mm-hmm.
on the playground and or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, other reward systems besides food, are helpful. And we try to get in a regimen, a routine, a consistency with meal times and having a balanced plate. And so they can see that, because it's really easy to help transform, like, the way we eat when we're younger versus like when we're older and set in our
Mm-hmm.
ways. So that sets the foundation and the groundwork, for how the habits are going to be later on. Because one thing I have noticed is that even certain patterns with me, like, you just certain things, like, I'm just gonna have, because it's just part of what I grew up
Mm-hmm.
with, like um my family's recipes, like the family's peach cobbler recipe or whatever. Like, I'm not gonna refuse that. Okay. But it's just a matter of, like, balance and moderation.
Right.
Now, um so it may involve them in some kind of way. Some community gardening projects that I've taken part in, helping to orchestrate and participate in my previous position, the cooperative extension. I was amazed by how, when you involve children in that process of actually knowing where food really comes from. I mean, not them
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Oh, the apple comes from the grocery store," but no, how it comes right from the ground up, and they're
Right.
involved in some the gardening
Mm-hmm.
activities and stuff, and they see that, and then we'd be amazed at their how much their interest level might go up in wanting to eat it,
Mm-hmm.
um, or even involving them in the food prep. Something simple, like, no, they're not going to carry a knife in their hand and cut stuff, but maybe they can, like, you teach them the hygiene with the hand washing, and then maybe they can take some ingredients and put it in a bowl, or participate in some kind of way, crack the egg, pinch lettuce, all any of that. Then there might be more desire to eat it, or you make, like, creative faces out of certain foods, like,
Mm-hmm.
try make something like a smiley face, add some eyes to it and stuff like that. And that's really stimulating, things that really stimulate their desire to
Right.
eat
Right.
healthier.
That's
So
some good points. Yes. Okay, you guys. So again, if you can put some, even the paper that you showed, take a picture maybe and send it.
yeah,
You can send it to me, and I can do that if you want me.
and these are like toddler food portions, like the cupcake pan.
Wow.
Yeah. So
which
that's those are age
which
appropriate.
we love fruit, and so I just pile it up. Of course, she's not a toddler, but oh my
Oh,
goodness.
okay.
Ah, I have been guilty. Okay, but you guys, definitely thank you for any information. Please comment below, and then if you have any questions, definitely ask Professor Jeffrey.
Somebody's gonna Tia, but yeah.
I know.
I know
I
it's in
know.
professional circles, but
Hey, I
know me
mean,
by
we,
first name. But.
yes. Okay. All right. But until then, you guys, which is literally in 20 more minutes, we have another session. And we have a mom who has a child who has autism, and she's going to be telling about his story. And so, and then we have, excuse me, and then we have next, this coming Monday, we have a father who has a child who has autism. So we're just keeping going um, with supporting community support. Also, heads up, you guys, in November is Jasmine's birthday month. And so I'm asking, she'll be 9, you guys. And so I'm asking any parents who would love to have a discussion just like this about their child who has autism, please let me know. I'm looking for parents. All right. So anyway, you guys, thank you. Thank you, girl.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for your time. And until next time, which is today at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I will see you guys later. And remember to eat healthy. Bye bye.
Bye.